You know, Larry, I always thought of the band as being sort of chameleon-like, you know, as I was following the whole scene from, you know, that period. And you guys always seem to have your finger on the pulse of like the sounds that were current and were hitting at the time. So did you pay much attention to what the other bands were doing, and how did you guys kind of keep adapting your sound that way?
We trust me, during that time, all the self-contained bands took a little from each other. we took titles from each other. We took a little bit of melodies from each other. I can't say if that was good or bad or not, but we took a little things from each other. You know, we all knew each other, and I think at that time, uh, funk music, funk was funk, and if you borrowed a little bit of this from another record, it was so much of it that bands did it was a certain amount of it. I think that was okay. We might have done a little too much of it at times, but then so many bands took so much from us, till it got to be okay, But to answer your question, the short version of it, yeah, we did. We listened to other bands. There were some clever things that we thought other bands did, but they listened to us a whole lot, man, and just took a whole lot of what the Barcades were doing, a lot. So we figured it was okay. We swapped out a lot. We stayed relevant, a lot. Alan did that a lot. And he did that. He would take the core of a record and say, I like this record. Give me something like that. Let's do something like that. And it was our chore to go in and do something like that and then get away from it. Mm. That's what he would say. Do this, then get away from it. That would be his words. And it would be our job to do that. And you'd be surprised at some of the records we did where we actually got the original thought from.
Yeah, because I would listen and I would say, oh, it reminds me of, as time went on, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Ohio Players, Rick James, Prince. It was always the Barcades, but, you could definitely hear some of those influences. And I just think it also helped keep the band current. And I mean, where a lot of bands fail to make that transition and continue success into the 80s, the Barcades did that. And I think being, in tune with that really helped you succeed that way.
Well, yeah, that's kind of been the story of the Barcades. Alan used to have a saying. He was saying, when you're daring and you think you've gone too far, you're halfway there. And that's kind of been the story of how we were, man. Whenever we did something, whether it was when we got a little too outlandish on our clothes, we would notice that the other bands would start to do stuff, and we would color our hair. Our hair was white or it was yellow, or we would start to use fire and smoke on stage. The only thing they didn't do, they didn't use a snake. Or when we would start to get a little too close to certain other songs, other bands felt that they wouldn't go as close as we would, and consequently we would have hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And they would have, I guess, their pride or whatever, but they wouldn't have the hits, and they would be working for $5,000 a night, and we'd be working for $50,000 a night. So, I understood it, but we were the Barcades. We were quite satisfied in who we were. We know we wasn't giving up anything, and some of the bands kind of caught on to it and said, what are we really holding on to? It's all about funky music. And we would have conversations with guys like George Clinton, who would say, man, y'all just keep doing what you're doing. Y'all on top of the world. We listened to James Brown, and if it had not been for James Brown and the stuff that we stole from him or that we took from him or borrowed from him, we wouldn't be who we are. And they gave us another concept about it all. You don't feel like you're robbing or biting, or it's all music. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't look at it like that, and we stayed relevant, man.
You did, yeah.
We stay right on top. We stay right on top of the change, man. Things change, we change. You know, and we kept getting hits.
Well, the thing about it too, Larry, is that I mean, hip hop and rap was sampling what had been before anyway. So at least you guys were still playing, you know, and and you know, also a lot of those other groups that didn't succeed so well in the '80s, they didn't keep it hard like you guys did. I mean, into your releases in later in the '80s when you kept having hits with like Certified True and you know that stuff, you were still bringing the funk.
Yes, sir. And when we needed to reach out to a smarter producer or a younger producer, man, we did. We did. We didn't have any inhibitions about doing that. I went to speaking of Certified True, I went to Detroit to do that record, to get that record. Um, we did that record with the guy who did Shackles on Your Feet. He and his wife and I wrote that
RJ.
record together. RJ, exactly right. He and his wife and I, we sat down in the studio and we did that record. And that's one of my favorite records. We put that record together, man. It was a great sounding record. One of my better performances, you know. Enjoyed it, enjoyed it, enjoyed it. I went up there and we recut 2 or 3 songs that we had done in Memphis with RJ because he's a great producer, man. He was real sharp, and even though he hadn't had 1 or 2 records, Shackles on Your Feet, he was really good in the studio. And that's what kind of kept us open. We were always open-minded about things, you know. We didn't know it all, you know. We watched guys who were good at this, good, and it didn't make a difference how many hits they had. If they had a touch in the studio, and we saw something they could add to what we were doing, we would go and we would talk with them. Come do this with me. Let's write a song together. You know, we used Sly's drummer because we felt like he could do well on this particular song. You know, we would just reach out to people who we thought could help us do certain things, and we didn't have any problem with it, man. We were trying to get what we wanted to get done.